Hello, everyone. So, this week's theme is moving from uncertainty to insight. And if you were to do an examination of where is insight found, where is it? And I'm of course, speaking metaphorically, but still, it's a really good question. Over and over again, those that we consider to be mystics or even texts that are considered to be inspired and full of truth about reality, you'll find over and over again that this insight, which has something to do with truth, doesn't it, is found in silence. It's actually found. And with that consideration, what then you have to consider is that if that is found, then silence is not just simply a contemplative place where we have an absence of the things that are on the outer layers of our being and we find ourselves restored. It's not just that, but it's actually a dynamic place. It's a fertile place. And silence is not always a comfortable place for all sorts of reasons. So when you think about it that way, what then draws you into the silence? You personally, not you as I'm going to speak about everybody. This iPad's so crazy, right? The way it reframes everything. I'm sorry for that. What draws you into the silence? Can you note times when you feel yourself gently urged or pulled to say yes to silence? Could it be that there is revelation wanting to happen? I'm going to read some quotes like I have in so many of the other reflections. And as I read these quotes, if you're comfortable, close your eyes and let the words themselves just fall upon you as fertile ground, as you, the silence, receive the words. From the Upanishads. That which cannot be spoken, but by which speech is revealed, know that alone to be Brahman. And so in this quote, there is silence is seen as a place that you turn towards the source of all sound. There's a turning towards. Imagine or feel that. What's that like to turn towards sound that is in silence? The early monastic desert fathers, we find a quote, fathers and mothers, I should say, go into your cell. Your cell will teach you everything. Having been a monastic, I'm keenly aware that the cell was the place where all presence could be found, all intimacy with presence, or as presence could be found. So it's a moving away from that which fails to satisfy in an emptiness to be taught to receive the insight in that still place. Thomas Merton said so eloquently, there is nothing in all creation, so like God as silence. There is nothing in all creation so like God as silence. That points to God as being some kind of entity, and that it is most represented in this world that we have as silence, showing implicitly that silence is a part of creation. And Rumi spoke, when the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about it. In this, there is a listening that arises when quiet takes place. So the image here is that the soul lying down in the grass is the releasing of the mind and its commentary, the releasing of the impulses that catch us on their waves of emotion or compelling force. There's a releasing of it all. And that in that action, the world is listening. So that it's not just us listening, it is all creation is listening. And the world is listening with such breadth and depth that it's too full to talk about it. Such a great, playful way of framing it, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, you have fix your mind on me, be devoted to me, listen to me alone. Here, the me is a point of focus, that there is a being, an existential being that can be actually focused upon. And I think in faith traditions that have a God that is a personal being, one of the powers in that, there's a lot of weaknesses there, but one of the powers in that is that there's an object of focus that's really something you can kind of hold on to and sink your teeth into. And if we could do that, if we are drawn to have an object of focus like that, could we do so without creating dualism around it? It's this, not that, or dogma around it about what it means and what everything else means or doesn't mean. Object of focus lets us really pull in our faculties so that we're a bit freer for the experience, for the immediate experience before us. Silence, even though it's got all the fullness of captivating us in states of awe and wonder and beauty and states that reveal without any effort the deeper truth of things, and also provide us the greater capacity to live according to that truth. It is also when we step into these times of silence that they're not always comfortable, that our mind doesn't cooperate with it, our heart doesn't settle down. So, this coming into the silence is also a skill that we build. It's a buildable skill. In Psalm 131 that I love so much, it says, "O Lord, my eyes are not haughty, Nay, I have rather humbled myself and sat. Actually, let me pull up the quote. Uh, I was going to just paraphrase it. I think I took a picture of it. Nay, rather, I have stilled and quieted my soul like a weaned child. So in this phrase, the writer, somewhat tribute to be David, is saying that I'm not looking for things that are greater than me. I'm not haughty, I'm humble. And in this state, I sit like a weaned child. And a weaned child would be a child that's not nursing anymore. It's not grasping after something outside of itself and is sitting right on the nurturer. So it hasn't left what nurtures in order to find stillness. It's sitting right on the nurturer. So it's a weaned child sitting on its mother's lap, not grasping after the milk that it used to gain nourishment by. That's mastery, isn't it? And that's what we're talking about here. It, in cultivating this state, we open ourselves up to the insight that can liberate us. And that's what we want. That's what we want is the insight. How can I live my life according to truth and integrity? The insight. There are many reasons this can be uncomfortable because it is developing the ability to be released from and let go. Part's active and part is passive or receiving. It's developing that capacity that settles for nothing less. We can spend our whole lives, humans spend their whole lives settling for less, settling for less. Teilhard de Chardin writes that coming into these contemplative places, we begin to trust the slow work of God in cosmic evolution. We develop the ability to listen to the divine within the unfolding. You could take that into every event in your life. Every single event in your life you could take that into. And you could apply it. The slow work of God is moving in this person, in this event, in this situation. And I want to hear the divine within that unfolding. And what will happen will not be disassociation or bypassing or repression or anything that takes us away from reality. In time, we'll be plunged right into the heart of reality. And if we stay with it, and do not get sidetracked, the truth that we're longing for will reveal itself to us. I remember when I was getting ready for my simple vows. So in monastic life, you have numerous ceremonies. You have 4 key ceremonies. The first one is the ceremony that opens up the time of postulancy. And you receive a simple, well, in my monastic order, we received a simple white veil. You kept your personal name. I was Kimberly during that time. And I wore something that was just like a skirt and a vest. So something that kind of fit in with the community, but was not technically a consecrated habit, which is the clothing that you wear. And there was a consecrating ceremony, a real entrance, a real ritual around it, because I was saying yes to something internal, and the community was saying yes. After that period, when things, if they go well and it seems right, you enter a second phase, which is called novitiate. And novitiate is considered, it's considered in spiritual traditions the time of trial. It's when you're really going to be tried. Your vocation will be tried, and you'll be put in the fire of things. Now, this does not happen through external practices that are unique to the novitiate. It simply is inaugurated by the consecratory ritual that takes place. And in the novitiate, that ceremony, you you receive your name. So after 5 months, I received my name, and I I experienced a great trial. Oh my gosh, it rocked me to the core of my being during that time. Internally, I was in like a living hell. And then it happened at about 5 months into the novitiate, where all of a sudden everything became dark. I mean, the silence was utter agony. I had gone from this joy and this sweetness to complete agony of being in the silence with myself day in and day out. It was hard. Everything within me erupted. Everything within me was battling the vocation, battling it. I things seemed hypocritical, superficial, archaic. I mean, everything. And there was some truth there, because I was in a very conservative community that preserved a lot of practices from the 1500s. There was power and beauty in this preservation, and there was some truth in some of my observations. But instead of being able to placidly come to my truth about it and listen and say, okay, maybe I'm not called for this reason in a way that was neutral, I was like in war, and my mind kept thinking it through and being in agony. That lasted for about 6 to 7 weeks. And then I had a major wash through grace on January 2nd, Therese's birthday, where I can't explain why it happened or how it happened. It was not the fruit of reflection or discernment, which should be the grounds by which you make many of your choices. It was sheer, utter, overwhelming, energetic light. My crown chakra opened up, and there was this whoosh of white light that rushed through my body, and the trial was gone. And I was in such bliss and ecstasy. If I was a 100% yes to my being Carmelite. Did it resolve my concerns? No. Did it give me answers about judgments I had on the lifestyle that were bothering me? No. It just released me of the hold that I was in in the silence. And in that, I came to my truth about what I wanted to do. Because there was, like any lifestyle, there was so much good along with the things that were weaknesses. But when I got plunged into that ecstasy and bliss, that lasted all the way up in a very dramatic way to the retreat before my simple vows, which happens a year after the novitiate usually. There's flexibility in the timing, but that's the normal protocol. And before simple vows, I think you have a 10-day, I think it is, retreat that you're even less a part of the community. So already you're living in silence, and already you're observing all the practices. When you're on that 10-day retreat, you even wear a black veil over your eyes, and you don't attend recreation, you don't do dishes with everybody else, you don't do anything that the community is gathering for. So you're really in solitude. And I went back, and the silence was so hard. The moment that retreat started, I was not battling the call. It was rather that I was plunged in such a state of meaninglessness and darkness that it was agony. It was agony up until I finally had to reach out to somebody because I was in so much pain. The silence was so terrible. And I was assured by the spiritual director of the community that I could trust. It was just that I was mysteriously being prepared for the great moment that was going to happen the next week. So I trusted that. And wouldn't you know, the day of my simple vows, I woke up and the clouds were gone. Everything was gone. It was all clear and bright skies. And I share these stories so that you can entertain this theme today from a place of knowing that while silence is the place of all great um, comfort, it's also not always comfortable. Because whatever we are, or even external forces acting upon it, why would it be that when the consecration happened, the moments of dedicated ritual around things happen, why would that set me up for unusual experiences? So there was something that was relational about my entering these very uncomfortable and agonizing states. Can you persevere through it and not let that lead you down a path of doubt or failure to listen? Because in the quiet will be the truth. It's there, it's always there, revealing itself. But you can't find it unless you're willing to actually go there. You don't find it to go there, you go there to find it. Just like Thomas Merton said, there's nothing in all creation so like God as silence. So, in our remaining time, we are simply going to sit together in silence. I invite you to close your eyes. Stay with the silence. Even if the mind goes or the heart goes, or sensations want to captivate your attention, just stay. Stay here with me. As we bring this session to a close, I end with one of my own poems. Lace your fingers in mine. Let me pull you into stillness. The silence awaits us like a lover's arms, a container wide enough for your joy, deep enough for your grief. The utter unsoundedness will undo, 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 and you can be, be, be. Sensations will wash in their ever varying textures to delight you here. Silence, staunchly holding its grip, will keep your hands free from their grasping to hold, hold, hold. Then, like light bursts, we will smile, finally knowing the holding is not ours to do. And bring your palms together in front of your heart and simply open your eyes. Blessings, my friend.